Oh yeah, that's expensive. So let's build this, shall we? And just like the other ones, it's basically the same. You can't see what you need to do to unlock them until you get there, but 100 kills with a weapon, that's easy. We'll do that while leveling it up. Only 20... I'm going to click on this because making this window so small is actually pretty bad. So it's 20% crit chance, 20% status chance. 140 total damage. Also, I'm scrolling on the right, and it's moving the entire list of weaponry on the left. Anyway, I'm assuming this is the incarnon mode, and it's 140 damage, but it does radiation. I've seen this thing in action. I thought it had more than this, if I'm being honest. But, come on, at least have 2 polarities on you. Yeah, that's actually pretty decent. Kind of wish we could do something else at that point, but let's be honest. Projectile speed is going to help this a lot, so will fire rate. But that is tempting. But of course, before that, we have to, kill 8 Xmas with it in its incarnon form. Definitely gotta be projectile speed. 20 headshots on Void Angels with primary weapon without reloading. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Magazine capacity, because I'm hoping there's the damage, but it does mean having to close 12 ruptures in the Void Flood. It doesn't matter because you can at any point go back and change these however you see fit, so I'm going to go for that one because complete a solo mission with an incarnon weapon equipped in every slot. Here's where it gets interesting. The last evolution. On 2 headshots within 2 seconds, 50% headshot damage. Quite useful when it's in its incarnon form. Enemies suffering fewer than 3 status effects will receive 100% crit damage. Okay. 50% chance to deal 2000% damage on non-crit hits. Do believe we're taking crit off this weapon as well. And after playing with it for a while and deciding how I'm going to build this, how I'm not going to build this, and playing with different build setups, I did end up sticking with the 4 dual stat elemental mods. That is 60% of an element and 60% status across all 4, giving it a 68% status chance. They can of course be swapped around to change the elemental combo, and yes, heavy caliber is in there. Split chamber doesn't come into play until you really get it into its incarnon form. Then that comes into play, and you notice the big difference with that fairly quickly. Infested Clip is just part of the elemental combo. In here, you can put whatever element you want on there, apart from Ice, of course, because that's a D, and obviously Serration. The big one people are going to go on about is heavy calibers on this. You need accuracy to land those headshots. Yes, you do, but I've only formatted this thing twice, so it's not the maxed out heavy caliber, it's 2 from the end, which actually makes it 1,000,000 credits and, 3,000 or 4,000 endo cheaper to actually leave it there. It's not messing with the accuracy that much at all. And it still works at long range, just not long range, but in that case you should be using a sniper anyway. So it still works. Plus, the damage that is adding is more than some of the builds I have been sent and told I need to be using this weapon this way. Because some of them were 1,000 to 1,500 total damage on them, and had less status chance and less multi-shot, but did have better accuracy. So even taking that out, it's still doing twice some of the builds I was being sent. With it in there, yeah, it's nearly 4 times as much damage as some of the builds I was being sent. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. There are more powerful builds than this. And I know, technically, this weapon has been out for a while, but to be honest, I've just been enjoying using it more than anything else, because sometimes they release weapons and you just kind of think, why have they done this? This weapon's okay, but there are so many better weapons in the game, and obviously the incarnon weapons need to be the most powerful things in the game because of where you get them from. Is it better than the bow that you get after the new war? The jury's out on that one. I do have a video planned on comparing the two, but whether I actually remember to do that or not is a whole other matter. But yeah, okay. The Phenmor, I was expecting big things. I was expecting it to turn into something like a gravamagged, an Archgun with a gravamag in it, and it does kind of go to that form, and the damage that it's doing is very, very similar. In fact, the stats are almost exactly the same as the normal damage, but it no longer does puncture. The puncture disappears and it just goes all slash and elemental. But it still does the 4,575.2 total damage. It's just all bleed proc, basically, which in it, once you can land those headshots and build the bar up, throwing it into its incarnon form basically annihilates everything. I used this thing on the steel path and made waste to everything that everything else was having problems taking care of. The secondary, oh, I loved the secondary. The Latham, however you pronounce it, Latham? Ah, no, not making that joke. Yes, that I absolutely loved. Once it goes into its incarnon form, same thing, it's absolutely amazing. This, I just couldn't really fault it, apart from the fact that it has that on there that you don't build it for crit, you build it for status, but there is a few enemies where crit can come in very, very, very essential, and this kind of doesn't have that, but it does make up for it with that extra 2,000 damage. I think it was 2,000 damage I actually put on this. I honestly can't remember, because I leveled it up so long ago now. It's been probably a good 2 weeks of just enjoying using the weapon. The 50% chance to deal an extra 2,000% damage, yeah. But it's on the non-essential crit hits, which is where the plus 20% status chance, minus 10% crit chance comes into play, and the bigger magazine obviously means nothing when it goes into its incarnon form, because it's in its incarnon form, it's the bar that you build up is the ammo in the middle on the crosshair. When that runs out, the incarnon form ends. So the bigger the magazine, the more headshots you can get, the quicker you can get it into its incarnon form, which is where the projectile speed comes into massive effect. Plus it kind of gets around the whole accuracy issue fairly quickly. The biggest thing about all the incarnon form weapons that I kind of disagree with is Evolution 1 headshot charge incarnon transformation. Or for melee it's actually different, but for the Phenmor and the Latham, yeah, they are both kind of the same. The melee does the same thing, you have to evolve it once first, and I don't see why that was a thing. They could have added other perks in there instead of that and just had it incarnable from the beginning, because it's kind of the big thing about the weapons, and out of all of them, that's the only thing that kind of got me. You have to evolve it once before you can use the incarnon form. Past that, these things just get much, much better. And it's not until the 5th evolution that these things basically become possibly... I really don't want to say best weapon in the game. They are very close to being up there. Probably get away with saying this is the best status weapon in the game so far, because it has minus 10% crit. Oh, and let's not forget, there is just something about a 50% chance to deal 2,000% damage on non-crit hits that makes this thing, once you point it at an enemy, they should just look at you and think, well, life was good, because it's over now, because it pretty much will be. Gaia can take out level 190s with ease, and these weapons can do pretty much exactly the same thing, which is just so good to see. As long as, obviously, if you saw my Steel Path video, yeah, don't mess up the builds to the point where you can't actually deal damage to enemies, because that happened to all my weapons, because I tried to change an elemental thing, and yeah, it went horribly wrong. Plus, they have armor, which... probably should have set it to corrosive for that, which is one of the things people kept saying. Yeah, I completely agree. I put magnetic on these things and they just stop dealing damage to anything because they have massive amounts of armor. Always change your elemental combo for the faction you are going up against. If they've got lots of armor, you kind of need corrosive. I wish you could have corrosive, 2 different elemental combos using the same elemental type. Viral and corrosive, that is basically the dream at this point. Maybe one day, but that day is probably not anytime soon. And with that, we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.